So we are where it all began. This is the most ancient monastery in Ladakh. And this room must be the room from which all the prayers were sent out that provided the foundation for the growth of this stupendous system of transfiguration that is Tibetan Buddhism, all over Nubra and all over Ladakh. And isn't it wonderful that at the end of this arduous and glorious journey we've been on, we should be guided by grace to the origin of it all. And before I say anything, I just invite all of you to feel the immense, sacred, grounded, exalted energy that almost 1,000 years of prayers, 1,000 years of arduous mystical practice, 1,000 years of hunger and aspiration to be a Bodhisattva, lived out in this most lonely of places. I invite you to allow your mind and heart and soul and body to be impregnated by the dynamic silence that has been born here. You are about to return to a world in agony, falling apart. You're about to return to a world whose future is uncertain. You're about to return to a world in which you will be buffeted by all the storms of madness and chaos and falsity and crazy desire that make up the world. But here in this place, you're in the center of the origin of the great mandala of Ladakh. So, drink in the silence. And in whatever way is natural to you, ask for courage. Ask for the passion to do the real inner work, the real work of practice. Ask for the intensity of focus that will allow you not to be distracted by the chaos. Ask for the grace to stay dynamic and calm in the middle of disintegration. Ask for the great bliss in the middle of the great madness. Ask for the strength that will keep you wise. Ask for the power that will make you majestic in a world of psychotic dwarves. The time now has come to ask. You've been brave, you've taken this journey, you've been through so much, you're in the center of the mandala. Ask. Time is running out. Kali's dance has 4 main tempos. And this was explained to me in Benares in 2009 by an ancient, old and glorious woman who'd been a disciple of Sri Anandamayi Ma. And I'd been wanting to see her for many years, but she's very difficult to see. She's secret and she's quiet because she holds the teachings of the Kali Yuga. And I was blessed to get an interview with her, and we sat in this white room in Benares, and she smiled at me and she said, "It is all going much faster than ever before." And she said there are 3 stages that we have already nearly gone through. The first is the menacing stage, and that came in the 1960s, she said, when we realized that we were destroying the environment. We'd already committed vast crimes, both of action and of the soul. There had already been Hiroshima and Nagasaki and Mao and Stalin and Pol Pot. But in the 60s, we were given the information that we were destroying our world, and we did nothing. So that stage passed. And we entered then the stage that is called the serious stage, in which there were many wars, many disasters, many failures, many catastrophes. And we still did nothing. And that stage passed. And then there came the dangerous stage, in which the climate was seen to be collapsing much faster than any of the experts and the doomsayers had predicted, in which even the United Nations recognized that we were in a world crisis. And for the United Nations to recognize anything is a miracle, but it did. And it said, we have 10 years to change everything, and we're still doing nothing. Nothing really. 1 million species on the verge of extinction. Authoritarianism rising everywhere, fascism possible in the United States, which will mean the end of the democratic experiment and potentially the end of the planet, because no authoritarian government is going to do what is necessary to save the planet. So we are now at the end of the dangerous stage. And if we continue to be blind, and if we continue to be in denial, and if we continue to choose comfort over survival, which is what we're doing, don't bother me with the end of the planet potentially. I want to stay as comfortable as possible. That's the madness we've come to. If we continue to do this, then we will enter in the lethal stage soon. And the lethal stage is when Kali dances and destroys everything. Because all of the signs have been given. All of the opportunities to change have been given. The tremendous torrential downpour of all the great revelations that have happened in the last 30 years that have given practices, the great teachers who've been here, who've been crying out for the human race to wake up, including and above all His Holiness. If all of those signs are missed, then it is chaos and madness and horror and affliction and the end. And we're staring at that. It's not tomorrow's problem. It's not the problem of 5 years ahead. We're already on a fraying thread that's burning in the fire of our denial and our ignorance. And none of this means that there isn't unbelievable possibility. None of this means that there aren't absolutely amazing people on the earth who are giving their life's blood to do what's necessary. None of this means that, as she said to me, that amazing woman in that room in Benares, None of this means that it's over. It just means that there has to be on the earth millions of very brave, hope-filled, joy-inspired, passionate, brave, unbelievably intelligent, and unbelievably focused people who are willing to give everything. And if that happens, then the lethal stage turns by Kali's miraculous, glorious power into the birthing stage of a new humanity. A humanity that has been purified by tragedy, made humble by unspeakable ordeal, made compassionate by heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak, and empowered by sacred practice, and so able to co-create with the great goddess the birth of a new humanity that will not be a hubristic, arrogant, drunk on itself humanity that is prepared to destroy everything, but a humanity that has understood finally its relationship with everything that is, its responsibility to live in humility and compassion. And there are people on the earth living that now. And my prayer and my hope is that you who have so much wisdom, who are so lucky with all that you have materially, and so lucky in the goodness that is still alive and vibrant in your souls, my hope and prayer is that you will be one of those people. And you will do what Bodhisattvas do, which is that they gamble their lives away for active, transforming love. Whatever it costs, and whatever it means, and whatever people think of you, what does it matter at a stage like this? Right? You must hear this, because the next years are going to be worse than you can possibly imagine. We're being taken onto the cusp between the dangerous and the lethal. And she's going to give us one more chance before it tumbles into the lethal, because she's going to shake the climate. She's going to shake the political structure of the world. She's going to shake the economic structure of the world. She's going to break our hearts with what happens in Ukraine. She's going to unloose pestilences. Because she's not playing patter cake with the human race. She knows that if we continue as we are, not only will we destroy ourselves, but we will destroy a great deal of nature, because we are AIDS walking. And she knows that there is still a chance that there will arise out of this agony a great cry of no to all the structures of cold evil that keep us slaves, to comfort, to denial, to ignorance, to stupidity, to cruelty, and a great yes, infused by the glory of the mystical traditions that says we are not these disgusting, selfish, arrogant, mutilating maniacs that have dominated history and created a horrifying world for millions and billions of people and animals. That's not who we really are. Who we really are is Him. Who we really are is Jesus. Who we really are is Mother Teresa. Who we really are the Bodhisattvas, who have shown us in the mirror of their heroism and their passion and their love and their service, who have shown us again and again and again who we are. Not the mutilating maniacs, but the lovers, the fierce lovers. And everyone in this room knows the truth of what I'm saying, because everyone in this room is a good, strong, wise person who has felt that burning lover and noble, calm, heroic servant in themselves. So none of us have any excuse anymore not to claim the training that can make us that in reality. Because the world desperately, desperately, desperately needs us at this moment. I wrote a book called Savage Grace, which was about this. And the title means that in a time like this, the horror is actually a savage grace. Because as I tried to convey to you under that tent in Hemis, it is an amazing thing to be born in an age of annihilation. Because it offers you two linked extraordinary gifts. It offers you the chance to get over your narrow, selfish desires, seeing the agony of others and seeing the agony of the trees and the forests and the seas and the animals and the poor, to really commit yourself to a life of service at whatever level you are at in the world. And to be born and to be alive in an age of annihilation gives you another great gift. It makes absolutely lucid to you, absolutely razor clear, that all of the games that the world is asking you to play, all of the games of selfish success, all of the games of self-aggrandizement and self-grasping and self-pomposification, all those games are absolutely useless and hollow and empty and ridiculous and obscene in the face of what is really happening. Your money won't save you from horror. Your distinction won't save you from horror. Your beauty won't save you from horror. The only thing that will save you from horror is your deep, timeless, deathless, selfless self, realized and installed and made the foundation of a joy that no horror can destroy. And an age like this gives you that gift head on. It gives you that great holy gift of bitch slapping you out of any fantasy you may have still hold on to, that there is anything in this world worth being a slave and a whore for. How wonderful, finally, to be given an initiation into truth. And that's why we're here in this origin of the great spread of truth. And I wrote this book, and at the end of writing this book, I wrote it with my friend Carolyn Baker, who has been working in this area for 30 years alone, but now recognized as the great voice of collapse. And at the end of the process, I read through the book, and it was so fierce. I went into my bedroom and I said to the goddess, I said, maybe it's my madness that is making it as fierce as this. You have to tell me if it is inaccurate, because it's going out. And I don't want to unnecessarily scare or afflict people. They're scared and afflicted enough. And I really prayed to her. I said, please, please, please help me. I don't want to have my own fury and my own heartbreak and my own absolutely molten rage at what human beings have done to each other, to the world, to actually alter in any way the precision of what you are doing. So you've got to give me a vision. Sometimes you have to just howl for a vision. You don't necessarily just sit in the lotus and wait for a vision. You have to howl and beat your chest and scream out in the night for a vision, for the vision to be given to you. You have to really long to know. It isn't just love and light, baby. It is visceral relationship with the transcendent and immanent forces that govern reality. And you have to claim that relationship. Just as in a love relationship, you have to howl sometimes to be recognized and to be seen. You have to do that with the divine too. And that night she did. She gave me the most monumental Kundalini experience. The white light just ripped up my spine, and I found myself going into the heart of a black hole at the center of everything. And I knew that black hole meant total annihilation. I knew that it meant the annihilation of the universe. It was Kali naked that she was propelling me into. And on the one hand, it was thrilling. And on the other hand, of course, it was absolutely terrifying. But I trusted her. And then she spoke. And she spoke 4 words. And she said, "Be noble, my brother. Be noble." She didn't say, "If you sit and do my practices, I will save the world." She didn't say, "If you're a very good boy, you will get totally liberated and everybody else will get liberated." She didn't say that the human race will turn around and finally get on its knees and ask for grace and be given the illuminations to go forward. She didn't say any of that because she's not a New Age teacher, Kali. She said the only words that I can say to you at the end of our time together, which is be noble. Be noble now. Practice hard, love passionately, give wildly and sanely, and gamble your beautiful, incredibly intelligent lives away for the possibility that the human race could actually not go terminally psychotic and destroy everything. You have to play the great game now. With everything you have. And that's why the noble vision of the Bodhisattva is so important, and the noble vision of the Christ is so important, and why they're so related. Because in these 2 noble visions, which are so related, we have the map of what nobility means. What could possibly be more noble than the vow that Avalokita took on the verge of attaining total liberation, total freedom from the universe, total freedom from pain, total freedom from any more heartbreak? What could be more noble than the vow when he heard that little rabbit scream to return again and again and again and again and again until every single sentient being was saved and liberated, knowing what it would mean. Because he'd lived it thousands and thousands of times and choosing it again, but choosing it not out of fake hope, but out of pure nobility of radiant heart, out of an immeasurable love that just simply said, I cannot stand it anymore. I am going to turn up and I am going down into samsara, into hell, and into ignorance, and into the pits of shame, and into the pits of desolation, again and again, armed with emptiness, armed with compassion, armed with the noble example of all the Buddhas. I'm going to go into the madness again and again, and I'm going to do everything I can to be of the deepest, wisest, tenderest, most passionate, most compassionate help that I can be, because I've seen it. I'm not in denial. Right? What could be nobler than that? What could be nobler than the life of this man, who has lived through the tragic destruction of his world, and for 60 years on the global stage has just continued to pour out wisdom and love and compassion and hope, and not only pour it out in his words, which are dazzling enough, but in his presence, which has brought cynics to their knees, desperate people hope, friends of mine dying of AIDS in the horrible AIDS crisis. All that I would ever do is to give them the photograph of the Dalai Lama, and they die holding him to their hearts because he was with them. It's time to want to be one of these people. With all our flaws and follies, they don't matter. It's easy to point out people's flaws and shadows. It's much harder and much nobler to concentrate on the beauty in people. Bob taught me this last night, because his vision of the world, for all that he's seen, is resolutely hopeful, because he has the gift to look at what is good appearing and nourish it. So don't look at yourself and just see all the mess and the squalor and the stupid decisions and the love of comfort and the fantasy. Don't. That's very easy, and actually it's an easy way out, because you can say, as so many millions of people are saying right now, I just can't do the work, it's too hard for me. I think I'll stick with my 3 million in the bank and just live a decent life and occasionally sign a check to the Sierra Club, and that'll be enough. It's not enough. It's a way out, right? Don't let your faults block you, because they can be healed by real practice and real vision. And sometimes they're not faults at all. Sometimes they're just the ragged remnants of what it means to become real. Right? So don't play that game. Believe the masters and the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas and the saints and the great mystics, when they all say, male and female with one voice, you're not this shabby whore and slave. You are the royal queen and king of the universe. You have living in you enlightened consciousness, which is final nobility. That's your real face. That's your real nature. That's your real possibility. And don't just rest there either, because you can hear that and be momentarily excited. It is exciting, after all, to be told that you are the king or queen of the entire universe and graced with infinite enlightened consciousness as an original blessing. That's pretty exciting, wouldn't you say? But that too can become a trip. That too can become a way of subtly ignoring your responsibility, because the next stage is when you do the work to find out that it's true. When you get on your knees, when you sit in the cold, when you walk up and down the snow, when you fight your demons of rage and malice, and you do the mantra and you do the practice, and slowly, but really, the truth of that dawns on you, and you're given an experience of your own magnificence and of your own nobility. That's the third stage, and that's the stage of the vows. Right? So none of you need take these vows. Don't take them if you're wavering. There's nothing ordered about them. You don't have to do anything. And don't take these vows because you think you're inadequate to them. Of course you're inadequate to them. I'm inadequate to them. I bet he feels that he's inadequate sometimes to them. take these vows because your heart cries out to be noble, and that you're willing to make the commitment to strip off the veils of illusion, see the world's agony as it is, and realize that the greatest help you can give is by becoming stronger and stronger and more joyful and more committed to service, and braver and wilder and wilder and more naked and more authentic and more noble, and then do the work. And the vows will become slowly real in you. That's the way, isn't it? What other way has there ever been? Francois said to me, it's so sad in a way because this monastery is on the top of this inhospitable, austere mountain, and it seems as if they believed that they had to suffer for enlightenment. I don't see it that way, and I said that to Francois. I said, it's not an icon of suffering, it's an icon of triumph. It's an icon of saying, we're not put off by the hardship and the struggle. We're mountain people. We're Buddhists. We're inspired by the Buddha, who spent 7 years in the forest starving himself to get a glimpse of wisdom. Right? We're not put off by this madness and that hill. We're going to take all this stuff up that hill, and we're going to build a monastery, and we're going to go for awakening so that we can be noble enough to serve the world. And they did it. And from this place radiated out the immense revelation of Tibetan Buddhism that suffused Ladakh. So this isn't an icon of suffering. This is an icon of, yes, we can do this. We're brave enough, we're strong enough. We're not babies. We don't have to have our enlightenment with Coca-Cola and lemonade. We can take it straight with mountain water. Right? And the straightest possible instruction at the core of the Buddhist teachings about awakening is the Great Heart Sutra. And I wanted today, first of all, to read you the Heart Sutra, then to share with you one last gorgeous mantra that will help you so much when you're feeling absolutely shattered and inadequate. And you will feel that. If you're a real Bodhisattva, you'll feel inadequate every day. Right? You know what it's like. If you're a real doctor, you feel inadequate at the end of the day because you haven't been able to save everybody. Right? Some people just can't be saved at the stage they're with you. If you're a real Bodhisattva, you're not going to come out of the vow feeling like Brad Pitt in Troy. Whose body, by the way, I've ordered on the internet because I think it's time to get rid of this one and get that one in. You're going to commit yourself to something which will always challenge you because it's so noble. It's the equivalent, if you're a musician, of Bach's music. There are great pianists and whom I know who at the end of their lives say, Bach has been my hell on earth. Because every time I sit down to play Bach, I hear Bach as Bach wants to be heard. I know enough about music to know how this music could work and transform everybody because it is a divine machine. And when they play, and they may be the greatest living pianists, when they play Bach, it never quite gets there. And the crowds are screaming, but they go back to their room and they cry because they can never quite reach it. But that's the only life worth living. Maria Callas, the greatest singer, I believe, who the world has ever seen. I've been in adoration of Callas since I was 9 years old. and still learn so much from her. She would sing what you can hear on tape as a performance that nobody else has ever been able to do, ever. And then Zeffirelli or Visconti or one of her friends would go back to the dressing room and expecting to find her in ecstasy. And she'd be sobbing. She said, I can't ever do it. I can never realize the beauty that I hear in my ears. I'm always failing it. But that is the kind of courage that the noble have. The noble are willing to live a life of incandescent failure. The real question in life is not what you're prepared to succeed for. It's what you're prepared to fail at. Do you think he goes to bed every night and thinks, what a success I am? He spent 40 years warning us about the environment. What the hell have we done? He spent 40 years begging the West to take responsibility for what has happened in Tibet and stop the massacre. What have we done? He spent 40 years bringing the truth of Tibetan Buddhism to the West and asking us to practice. And His Holiness is not like me. His Holiness is gracious and sweet. And I can be gracious and sweet. I can fake it. But He's done it so beautifully. Who else could have done it more beautifully than He has? And what have we done? His Holiness has been to the UN. His Holiness has been to all of the heads of states of the world and begged for an end to the lunacy of war so that we could start dealing with the major problems that are threatening the whole survival of the human race, which he knows absolutely we're threatened with. And what have we done? But that hasn't stopped him and won't stop him and will never stop him. Because when he goes, he will have failed in the most resplendent way, just like Jesus. Right? You've got to be brave enough to aim high enough to fail in the noblest way and accept it and give everything, whatever happens. And the only way you can do it is by truly getting a deeper and deeper realization of emptiness. Because the real task in the real world is so hard that unless you are leaning against emptiness, unless you are suffusing your heart-mind with emptiness, unless you are in one part of yourself utterly gone into the transcendent, you will never be able to bear the actual ferocity of the task. You'll be always tempted to despair or to hate. Callas used to say a great thing about singing, which is exactly accurate for the kind of work the Bodhisattva does. She said, when I sing, one half of my mind is totally focused on the score like a diamond laser. I know every note. One half of my whole being is focused on the task, and the other half is utterly gone. That's when the power can come through you. That's when you're naked enough with reality for reality to come through you. And that's the meaning of the Heart Sutra. Buddhists very often mask the glory of the Heart Sutra by reading it in an itsy-bitsy kind of boring way. But the Heart Sutra is one of the great trumpet calls of human freedom. And I'm going to read it to you like that, so you can hear what the Buddha is saying. The Buddha is saying in the Heart Sutra, if you realize the nature of mind, if you do the work to have the Mahamudra vastness exposed to you and you as it, if you really do the work of discovering the nature of emptiness and the healing, glorious freedom and release that it brings, then nothing will stop you. Nothing will exhaust you. Nothing will defile you. Nothing will humiliate you. Nothing will pervert you. Nothing will make you a whore or a slave. And nothing will stop you turning up in your noble magnificence and giving your entire life, life after life after life, to be of help. Nothing. Because you know. And because that knowledge redeems and saves and transforms. Listen, Shariputra. Emptiness is form, and form is emptiness, and form does not differ from emptiness, and emptiness does not differ from form. When you wake up, you're given an experience which you never forget. You can't. Everything disappears into an empty white light, and you are just left enough separate to be able to witness this astounding magic. It all goes. And then it all reappears. The pillars, Natalie's scarf, your adorable socks, Bob's noble face. But this time you know that everything that you see and relate to is made out of the substance of crystalline light energy. You know that everything is arising from that vast light, made of that vast light, going back into that vast light. And you start to be deliriously free. Because then you can give it your all, knowing who you are and who everybody else is. Form is emptiness. This pillar is crystallized light energy. Everything is. Emptiness is form, because emptiness creates all of this and expresses itself in this tumultuous magic show. It's the perfect statement about reality. It's the most balanced statement of reality ever given the human race. And then he says, listen, Shariputra. So listen. You're in the origin of origin here. This is truth. And it's the ultimate truth. And Buddha is not saying it sweetly, he's saying it majestically, he's saying it nobly, because it's the noblest truth. Why is it the noblest truth? Because you have to die to find it. You simply will not be you when this truth is realized. That's what nobility means. To be noble is to be willing to die for what you love. And on the mystical path, it is to be willing to die to the last vestiges of your own ignorance, even if that means that you no longer recognize anything of yourself. And that's what he says. So I didn't invent it in the bath. Here, all dharmas, all ways of acting, are marked with emptiness. They are neither produced nor destroyed, neither defiled nor immaculate, neither increasing nor decreasing. Therefore, in emptiness there is neither form, nor feeling, nor perception, nor mental formations, nor consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, or tongue, or body, or mind, no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no object of mind, no realms of elements. from eyes to mind consciousness, no interdependent origins, no extinction of them, from ignorance to old age and death, no suffering, no imagination of suffering, no extinction of suffering, no path, no understanding, no attainment. And because there is no attainment, the Bodhisattvas, supported by the perfection of understanding, find no obstacles for their minds. And having no obstacles, they overcome fears, liberating themselves forever from illusion and realizing here perfect nirvana. All Buddhas in the past, present, and future, thanks to this perfect understanding, arrive at full, right, and universal enlightenment. Therefore, one should understand and know that perfect understanding is a great mantra, is the highest mantra, is the unequaled mantra, the destroyer of all suffering, the incorruptible truth. And a mantra of ultimate knowledge, prajna paramita, should therefore be proclaimed. And this is the mantra I want to give you at the end of this journey for your wonderful journey. Because when you come to hurricanes and storm winds and boulders crashing all around you and the world burning and your own mind on fire, say the mantra of perfect knowledge and they will all reveal themselves to be illusion, and you will be able to walk through the fire. You'll be able to walk through the destruction. You'll be able to walk through walls of burning steel, because this is perfect knowledge. Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Svaha. They don't usually do that in Buddhist circles, but that's what it's really about. And I've been doing it in Buddhist circles and they love it actually. They're finally realizing that the Buddha was a supreme warrior. And the marvelous thing about this mantra, and it means Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhisvaha. It means gone, 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 utterly gone. Remember what Kala said, one part focused on the text, on the work, totally focused. The other, gone. Perfect balance. Lethal, radiant force of compassion and action. Nothing can stop it. So, let's do this mantra so that you can have it as the loving, compassionate war cry of perfect warriorhood. Because you're going to be warriors in different ways. And there will be times when you will need Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhisvaha as a sword of wisdom to cut down illusion. Thank you for letting me talk to you like this. I only talk like this to people I love, you know that. I usually mask it, but I'm not masking it for you because it's much too late and you've been much too amazing. So this is my tribute to you, and I hope you can feel that. Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhisvaha. So it's Om and then it's two gatis, gone, gone, gati, gati, right? Gati, gati, paragati, gone even further, gone beyond. And then parasamgati, utterly gone into nirvana, completely obliterated, annihilated by light, by wisdom, by truth. Right? And then Bodhi, wisdom, insight, Svaha, be it so. Right? So let me just try and give you the transmission of this as the sword of wisdom that will enable you to hack through the agony and the awfulness and the chaos and the misery of this burning age of extinction. Because if you can hear what I'm trying to say, if you can empower yourself with this mantra, and if you can work on emptiness and compassion, nothing will stop you. Nothing has stopped me, and nothing will stop me. Why would it, if it could not stop me, why wouldn't it not stop you? They've tried everything to shut me up. But my voice is stronger than ever. My body's breaking down, but the truth is more fiercely alive and more joyfully alive in me than it's ever been. So I'm living proof that the practices work. Because nothing else would have worked. And it's wonderful. So listen. Om Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhisvaha. These mantras are not little tickly-wickly caresses of the minds. These are forces of tremendous transformation. These are mountain, volcano, wind forces. At night, when all the monks are asleep and no one can hear, what do you think the mountains of Nubra say? They say, Om Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasam, Gate, Bodhisvaha. And the winds say that, and the snows say that, and the rivers say that. Right? So, Om Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhisvaha. 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 Bless you. Om Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhisvaha. When you go back into the world and you feel yourself trembling and you feel that you can't do what you want to do, just stand in the middle of your drawing room and remember form is emptiness, emptiness is form, this is perfect knowledge, Shariputra, and say Om Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhisvaha, and taste the great winds all around you, and go forward humbly but fiercely and grandly and nobly. That's it. But before I read you the last part of today, I'd just love to hear a word from you. You know how I love to bring the word in. And I'd just love to hear, what is your word, Bob, at where you are right at this moment?
Overawed.
Overawed.
Fierce love.
Fierce love. What a surprise. Your word, Danny.
Filled with joy.
Filled with joy.
Clarity.
Clarity. Clarity. Yeah. Clarity is a verb, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's a...
Yes.
Yes.
Infused with power.
Infused with power.
Inspired.
Inspired. Wonderful.
Opening.
Opening.
Burning.
Burning.
Power.
Power. Bankers only have one kind of power, don't they? And it doesn't last long. Although it can do so much in the world, but the power that comes from this is the power of the universe, isn't it? And it's a humble power, because you're using it for other people. Yeah. Humbled. And you, darling?
Preparing.
Preparing. And Bogdan?
Calm.
Calm. Good luck.
Brave.
Calm is wonderful to be calm. Yeah.
Brave.
Brave. Yeah. Brave. Yeah. The Bodhisattvas are the special forces, baby, of evolution.
Empowered.
Empowered.
3 words. Radiant, fierce, joy.
Radiant, fierce joy.
Desire to fight.
Desire to fight. You got a lot in you, baby. You're a very strong, wonderful woman. Great heart.
Vibrating. Vibrating.
Vibrating. First one.
Compassion with power.
Compassion with power. That's a wonderful definition of the Bodhisattva. You gotta have the power.
Empowered.
Empowered. Oh, I'm so happy.
Courage.
Courage.
Divinely blessed.
Divinely blessed. I'm so grateful to have a group like you. Usually when I ask that question, when I've been so wild, they say, frightened. But you're all grown-ups, thank God. This is the last 2 pages of the book. And I can remember the afternoon in Paris where we were writing. I was living in Paris, and Sogyal Rinpoche Sogyal's dead now in fairly tragic circumstances, as some of you may know. But he had the greatest light and the greatest darkness both together, and brilliant beyond belief and very profound, and I'm so grateful that I knew him. But we were sitting in this room we were sitting in my little bedroom in Paris, which was a maid's flat in the 7th, dans la rue de l'Université, where I lived for 10 years. And we were so exhausted and we were so amazed that we'd actually lived to produce this book. Sogyal was a terrible perfectionist. We were all 3 terrible perfectionists, so we'd driven each other radiantly mad at different moments of the creation, but we loved each other passionately. There was real devotion to each other. So we were sitting there and we wanted to give a message to the world. This is 1991, out of the heart of the tradition. So this was the message. And it's Sogyal in Sogyal's voice, as of course it should be, because he was transmitting the tradition. The most compassionate insight of my tradition and its noblest contribution to the spiritual wisdom of humanity has been its understanding and repeated enactment of the ideal of the Bodhisattva, the being who takes on the suffering of all sentient beings, who undertakes the journey to liberation not for his or her own good alone, but to help all others, and who eventually, after attaining liberation, does not dissolve into the absolute or flee the agony of samsara, but chooses to return again and again to devote his or her wisdom and compassion to the service of the whole world. What the world needs more than anything is active servants of peace, such as these, clothed, as the great Longchenpa said, in the armor of perseverance, dedicated to their Bodhisattva vision and to the spreading of wisdom into all reaches of our experience. We need Bodhisattva bankers. We need Bodhisattva lawyers. We need Bodhisattva artists. We need Bodhisattva therapists. We need Bodhisattva doctors. We need Bodhisattva economists. We need Bodhisattva multimillionaires. We need Bodhisattva teachers and scientists and technicians and engineers. We need Bodhisattvas everywhere now, working consciously as channels of compassion and wisdom at every level and in every situation of society, working to transform their minds and actions and those of others, working tirelessly in the certain knowledge of the support of the Buddhas and enlightened beings for the preservation of our world and for a more merciful future. As Teilhard de Chardin said, someday after we have mastered the winds, the waves, the tides and gravity, we shall harness the energies of love. And then for the second time in the history of the world, man will have discovered fire. And in this wonderful prayer of Rumi, O love, pure, deep love, be here, be now, be all. Worlds dissolve into your stainless, endless radiance. Frail living leaves burn with you brighter than cold stars. Make me your servant, your breath, your core. One of my deepest hopes for this book is that it could be an unfailing, loyal companion to anyone who makes the choice to become a bodhisattva, a source of guidance and inspiration to those who really face the challenge of this time and undertake the journey to enlightenment out of compassion for all other beings. May they never grow weary or disappointed or disillusioned. May they never give up hope, whatever the terrors and difficulties and obstacles that rise up against them. May those obstacles only inspire them to even deeper determination. May they have faith in the undying love and power of all those enlightened beings that have blessed and still bless the earth with their presence. May they take heart, as I have constantly taken heart, from the living examples of the great masters, men and women like us, who have with infinite courage heeded the Buddha's deathbed words to strive with their whole being to attain enlightenment. May the vision that so many mystic masters of all traditions have had, of a future world free of cruelty and horror, where humanity can live in the ultimate happiness of the nature of mind, come through all our efforts to be realized. And let us pray together for that better world, first with Shantideva, and then with Saint Francis. I got him to put St. Francis at the end. It was very naughty in the book of the Tibetan tradition. He didn't need much convincing. And here is Shantideva. For as long as space exists and sentient beings endure, may I too remain to dispel the misery of the world. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. And where there is injury, pardon. And where there is doubt, faith. And where there is despair, hope. And where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born into eternal life. Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha. 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 And in this last formal teaching that I will give, I just want to dedicate the merits of any small contribution I may have made to your lives. I want to dedicate all the merit that has come to me. I want to dedicate it to all of you. I want to dedicate all of it to all of you, so that you will find what you are looking for so beautifully. You will find the work that is appropriate for you, that you will find the courage and the strength and the beauty and the joy to live in the Bodhisattva heart and with the Bodhisattva nobility. All of the merits that come to me from everything I've tried to do for you on this trip is now for you. Take it all of it, and work with it. And be happy. Thank you.